Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another round of GPVWC Sim Racing. My name is Matthew Chuggy Churgwin, and welcome to round 4 of the 2015 Vodbull Motorsport GPVWC Formula Challenge. Joining me this evening to commentate on the Grand Prix of Portugal, I have with me, as always, Mr. Philip Morby. Say good evening, sir.
Good evening, and a fantastic evening inbound as we've just finished qualifying.
Indeed, and on cameras we have Mr. Cameron Brewster, so say hello, sir, if you want to.
Evening, everyone.
Hashtag CamsCams. We are here to bring you the next 2 races in what has been a stunning season so far here in Formula Challenge. We arrive this evening at a 4.6 kilometre roller coaster of a course here in Portimao, otherwise known as the Circuit to Algarve. A recent addition to the motor racing scene, only built in 2008. This track has a little bit of everything, from huge undulation, I mean, truly hills you would not have seen the like of on a racing circuit before, to long sweepers and a technical midsection. On its own, it is a test of car and driver. But with the possibility, and it's a very real possibility looking at the warm-up practice we have right now, of there being weather in the area, and with multiple drivers having their own points to prove, who will be able to get their ticket to ride tonight? We will find out as we've now just transitioned from qualifying into warm-up, and sure enough, the weather has made an appearance, and I'm sure, Phil, would you not agree that it's going to really spice things up?
It is going to spice things up. However, for qualifying, we actually had a dry qualifying session.
Yeah, indeed. It's been wet and varying degrees of incredible wetness throughout practice today. Just received from Simon Smith, our beloved Mr. Comsci Smith. He actually qualified on a wet setup, just gambling on the weather, and by the looks of it, that might pay off for him here. But yes, it was the first dry session we've seen in quite a little while, and there we go. We've seen some drivers be able to take advantage of that, but will they have the right setup now for potentially a wet race? We are, of course, in Parc Fermé now. No option of changing your car, but other than some small tweaks. And, well, we'll have to wait and see what this does for the actual race proper.
Okay, should probably say who actually qualified on pole.
Yes, we should. Why not? If you've got the list for us, Phil, feel free to go through it.
I have it. It was Lars Brugman who was fastest for Mad Cape Racing, and it was teammates Eric Strahl and Jesper, 2nd and 3rd. So, yeah, decent start for the ice cold guys. They're kind of top of the constructors at the moment, I believe, aren't they?
Yes, they are indeed, ice cold.
So, yeah, they'll be looking, especially with this amount of rain, they'll be looking to kind of get maximum points at this event. We should probably clarify how, at the moment, we actually have a percentage of how wet it is. Now, the crossover between dry and wet, they usually say is about 20%. Is really where you should be thinking about those wet tyres. At the moment, it's 44%. It is absolutely drenched out there. And, yeah, I think, as once said during Formula 1, you need oars, not tyres.
Yeah, and it would certainly appear that you need that tonight. We have seen in the past, I think the best example of a counter strategy in wet conditions was Peter Burlak. At Monza last year, he went on dry tyres in mixed conditions, and he was able to make it work. But it's definitely far too wet out there to be running around on slick tyres. We did have mixed conditions, to be fair, last time out in Catalonia. A few drivers, we'll get to those in the interval between our 2 races this evening. They were able to make it work, but this is a whole different ball game. We're definitely going to see just the nature of this course. You know, as with most of the courses we come to within the year here as part of the career ladder, you know, there's a nice balance between high-speed sections, technical sections, but with the addition of some wet weather, it's really going to aid those who have gone for a high downforce setup, that's for sure.
Indeed it is. I'm just having a quick look at the disciplinary sanctions for this race. Not much to speak of. Rebellis is going to be starting 20 places behind due to issues. Cabrera, 5-slot penalty. Valkajavi, 5 slots. And that is all actually in terms of penalties. If Valkajavi actually, I don't think Valkajavi's here for this event, so he won't be getting anything. Rebellis, is he around?
I don't know, but he definitely will pick something up for his next event, that's for sure, though.
He is here.
Well, there you are. So he will take his penalty here then. Yes, indeed. All going to mix things up even further. And yeah, your comment about oars is definitely right. We'll come to some pictures shortly, but yeah, just watching drivers running around at the moment. Certainly I wouldn't want to be driving in these conditions in these cars. It is certainly going to be a true challenge of a driver's ability and how they've played the strategy call. And
I mean,
how
there's a lot of elevation changes, as you said, and I think that really affected. There's so much lift. I mean, I'm watching Rebellis at the moment. Oh, he's actually pulling over now. Who's out on track? Andrew Waring is technically fast at the moment. Even his lap time is 10 seconds slower than what we saw during qualifying. They really are struggling just to get any power down out on the corners.
Indeed.
Nielsen.
Yeah, so we saw some racing. I hope you joined us for it from the WSS last Wednesday around here in our Tin Top series there, and in dry conditions. I mean, so obviously the WSS car is a very different beast to these Formula cars, but it was a challenge with all the undulation, and that's with a car with some significant suspension travel. These open wheelers, most of the suspension travel, of course, comes from the tyre and the tyre wall. With all these changes in undulation, now all of a sudden you're going to have drivers working on trying to make sure they've got maximum grip going through these corners. They just won't get that elevation or that suspension travel whatsoever, and you will be losing grip and potentially falling off the road. And one thing I'd say definitely to keep an eye out for, there's definitely going to be a variety of different lines around this 14 corner course. Some sections having 3 or 4 different lines. I'd say keep an eye out for those different lines. Hopefully everyone gets through nice and cleanly.
And the last corner is probably the most important circuit, turn 14. It's such a long right-hander, and it's such a long straight that you really need to get yourself kind of out wide at the previous corner so you can get a nice line through it.
Absolutely, and just to mix things up as well, there's a nice bump in the middle of it as well, which these cars will be picking up on very, very much indeed. So we are just waiting for our drivers to complete their practice session here. Everyone just doing a few practice starts and the rest. And we will have, before too long, our first race of the evening for you. Phil, anyone you'd suggest keeping an eye on in this first race?
I'll be keeping an eye on those ice-cold racing guys. Starting second and third, they'll have to be very careful not to get bumped into each other, and then kind of see if they can hang around at the top.
Yep, I'd say that's a fair bet. And we've seen plenty of drivers actually up there at the sharp end. I'd say keep an eye out for our current championship lead, Eric Strawn. He was very handy last time out in mixed conditions. We'll have to see what he's like in very much damp conditions this time around. But a few drivers and teams to keep an eye out for. And who knows, there might be a surprise along the way as well. This is motorsport after all. Expect the unexpected. As we're just waiting for our last few drivers to cross the start-finish line now. I think we're just waiting on them to complete their laps, and we'll be rotating shortly into our first race.
Yep, just kind of seeing the lap times during qualifying. The top 20 were under 2 seconds. However, the top 3, there were 0.7 of a second between them, so they were really up and away. It was a really tight midfield battle where, you know, a 10th could get you 3 or 4 places up the grid. So very tight there. It'll be interesting to see how the racing goes. And we're still waiting to go into the race session at the moment. To see what kind of lap times people were doing. I mean, Andrew Waring, who's fastest in that session, a second and a half quicker, and only did 1 lap though.
Yeah, so this is certainly one course, certainly where you can definitely gain time by having, if you will, a qualifying setup. You can definitely take some advantage, in particular with the sheer number of hills around here. You know, a little less weight or a little more focus on traction, that will definitely help you get up and around these hills. However, that might burn your tyres out. It obviously might change the balance significantly if you've got a lot of fuel in the car all of a sudden. So you can definitely, or you could definitely get caught out there.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
So as we've had our introduction, as always, from our Factor Man, we are now preparing our grid for this, the first race of 2 this evening. It's a 17-lap race and over 4.6 kilometres of undulation. I think we're going to have some real thrills and spills along this thrill ride. As we're just waiting for everyone to grid up, we have about 15 or so seconds just to wait here. We've already had, by the looks of it, unfortunately, our first retirement. Dennis Mitchell has left the game, so unfortunately he won't be able to return if he was going to be taking to the grid.
I have a soft spot. I feel sorry now for Yaden Wright, who is the only person on the grid on dry tyres.
Oh dear! Yes.
I think he's made a mistake in his setup before he's left the pits. So I can't see him going very far, but do you want to start the rundown, Chucky?
If you wouldn't mind. So, we have your grid for race 1 this evening. We have on pole position for Mad Cape Racing Team, Lars Brugman. He is followed in second place by Eric Strahan for Ice Cold Racing, and his teammate, Jesper Nielsen, will be driving or starting the race in third position again for Ice Cold Racing. Rasmus Salo, driver very much in the championship hunt, will be starting in P4 for Pastovic Grand Prix. Whoopke Hoekstra, who had a good showing last time out in Barcelona, he'll be starting in P5 for Epic. Bensi Pennick, he won his first race last time out for Team Proline. He'll be starting in P6 with Tobias Olsen in the second Pastovic car starting P7. Then we have Scott Beresford, the first of the racing team Schroten cars. He'll be starting P8. Lewis Muglade for Kayala Racing starting in P9. And Sandeep Choda, Team Proline, rounding out the top 10.
And in 11th place, it's James Kirk for Drake Racing with Patrick Vandermuller for Cosmo in 12th. Valiant Hammer, the Drake teammate to Kirk, in 13th place. The Dogecoin Racing car with Thomas Jacobs in 14th. Edward Batala for Dederick Racing, 15th with Philip Koenig in 16th for Downforce iZone. Andrew Waring, who was fastest in that quick wet session, in 17th for Centurion Grand Prix. Gilda Picalo in 18th for Triple 20. Arian Nineman for Kajala Racing in 19th, and Tommy Ajala for Racing Team Shoten in 20th.
All getting a bit messy here as everyone's just trying to find themselves a bit of space, and thankfully we haven't had anyone run into the back of them. We just had a car going off as well. But anyway, that being said, starting P21 for Cosmo Sport will be Hansko Mebius. Jaden Wright will be starting in the pit lane, so not from P22, but Triple 20. The second Dogecoin Racing car of Ben Warren will be starting P23, with Mike Schroten in the second Epic car starting P24. Timu Toika from YTF1 will be starting P25 with Adam Osger in the Deltec Racing Team car starting P26. Ollie Pelkonen for Katana will be starting in P27 with Joel Pereira taking the seat of the second YTF1 car this evening. P29 will be Timu Cabrera for Viking, and rounding out the top 30 will be Victor Silva for Centurion.
And then we've got Mike Bell in 31st for Arrow International. The Scuderia Basilia of Bruno Cesar Ferreira in 32nd. Andres Pestovs for Zedric Racing 33rd. Adam Wright for 34th for Mad Cape Racing Team, and it's the backmarker brigade of Simon Smith who takes the kind of winning medal there for 35th place ahead of his teammate Andreas Walters, backmarker brigade in 36th, and then it's Sam Jones in 37th for Arrow International, and Justin Redis 39th for Katana.
And as everyone is literally just parking up, our leaders have been on the in their pit box or their grid slots for a little while here. The lights have come on. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are racing. Good even start all the way round. Can't really see too many dramas up and down the field at this moment. Brugman has had a good start though. He's got himself nicely in a defensive position for turn 1. Just got to keep an eye on that turn 1. Oh, we've got a little spin. I think a car going wide there. On the whole, looks like the grid has just about got through. Brugman made the perfect start, holding on to his lead from Strahan from Nielsen as they are running out of Sector 1 now for the first time. By the sounds of it, unfortunately, cameraman.
Point out.
Oh dear, cameraman extraordinaire, informing us of carnage, unfortunately. Looks
Thomas
like we have
Jacobs.
Jacobs in that Dogecoin's car. That's not the start he would have wanted. Hopefully he can recover. Now, meanwhile, up towards the front, it's all as we were in the top 3, but a little bit of movement. Olsen and Hoekstra having a little scrap over P5, P6 and P7. Zupanik in the middle of that one at the moment as they're running through this very tricky uphill right-hander. You can't be quite sure when to put the power down, especially in these wet conditions. There's Hammer there. Oh dear, he's gone right off the road there. He's lost his front wing and he's going to tumble down the order there. That's not the start he wants. He has to be careful now as everyone... And Hammer was...
Tommy Ajala's out as well.
Hammer, apparently the driver had an issue. Oh, and Pereira's run into the back of him. Oh dear. Hammer having a real mare, and unfortunately someone else has caught themselves out there as well. So in these tricky mixed conditions, several drivers being caught out, but those not being caught out at this present moment is Brugman, Strahan and Nielsen. They've got a comfortable gap to the cars behind us. We're just about to come around turn 14 to complete lap 1.
Yeah, it was a bit ahead. Quite a few crashes at the back and kind of guys spinning around and just couldn't get out the way. And yeah, Jala hitting, I think it was Sam Jones there, then get out the back, and he is definitely out. A few cars going around slowly. They're going to try and get, new front wings. Yeah, but Bellis is not pitting. Actually, Victor Silva is, though.
Drivers have to be aware that obviously they can't run around in an unsafe car, and in particular the rain keeps pouring. It's the wettest we've seen so far on the official sessions. You definitely want to be having all the downforce, and we've got a good little cluster of cars now actually coming all into the pit lane at this point in time. Our leaders are as they were as they're running down towards turn 5 on lap 2. Brugman doing a very nice job, very steady, not leaving any opportunity open to either Strawn or Nielsen. And we've got a real train actually of cars behind them. So we have Sarlo and Hoekstra. Hoekstra having a good race so far. He's got himself back up to P5.
Those two earlier.
Oh, right. Well, those two scrapping away, and then we've got a huge train of cars all the way from P6, I want to say all the way down to P10. I've got Olsen, Choder, Kirk, Wannemuller and Waring all in close proximity as we're now running up towards turn 10. Portimao, a very tricky corner this with plenty of different lines, and by the looks of it, in these wet conditions, pretty much everyone using the same line.
Yeah, Strawn's eyeing up Brugman here at the moment. He was just kind of throwing his car to let him know he was there, but there's been here you want to try and get as extremely left as possible, then take this long right-hander. Strawn's got a nice line. He's going to be able to keep the power down. He should get a nice slipstream out of this.
He should.
Keep it behind him.
It's going to be tricky through here, though. You don't want to be losing too much downforce as you're running into the dirty air. Look at the speed difference there. He's actually had to get out of that one, otherwise he would have gone straight at the back of Brugman. As they're running through the exit there, up over this little crest, across the start-finish line, very early start-finish line. Looks like Strawn's definitely going to be having a look. Brugman going defensive, Strawn sending him the wrong way. Strawn's going to have the racing line, slightly drier. Nice and sensible, though, nothing really on there. Good driving from these two. No need to slam the door shut on that one as they're running down towards turn 3. Tricky corner again here. Nothing really on, so they're going to have to go back as they were through this turn 4 complex little there. Not really an overtaking opportunity. Strawn right on the gearbox. There's definitely going to be a move on down here into 5. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? I'd say it's about even, but Strawn, can he complete it? Yes, he can. Lovely move. That's one in the books for Strawn. He takes the lead from Brugman. Let's see if his teammate Nielsen can follow through.
Yeah, the Team Proline guys are really fighting around. They've got Hoekstra in 6th, Sandeep 7th, Jupenik 8th, Andrew Waring a bit further back actually, but yes, 8th, 7th, 6th and 5th all really close to each other. All a bit of contact there between Hoekstra and Trotter, and his teammate Jupenik's trying to kind of get involved in it. Basvik's are kind of trying to pull away from this. Yeah, it's a pretty epic battle going on behind.
Our leaders have well and truly made a bolt. They've got a 5-second gap to this scrap, which we've just seen. Brugman, while all that was going on, just having a few little looks, but nothing really on. So still as we were, as I think that was Zupenik getting past Choder there for 6th and 7th, going up into turn 12. Good move completed there from Vence.
And Hansco Mebius is out. He turned 2, he's gone onto the curb and then couldn't get the car slowed down. He's gone straight on, and that's him out.
Oh, that's a pity. This course is very unforgiving. If you get offline, we saw this in practice as Sarlo for P4. He's made a bit of a mistake. He's run wide. He's lost a position to Olsen. Here comes Hoekstra. Hoekstra, we saw last time out, running very tiny wings, but not this time. Look at that. Hoekstra really pegged back.
That was, I think that was Sarlo getting a slipstream from his teammate, kind of helped him recover there.
Ah, good spot that. Very good spot. As here comes Zupenik. He's having a little look. Can he get himself up into P6? Not quite this time round. The back
it's raining as well.
Yes, it has actually. Yes, excellent spot there. Yes.
So, it's still okay for wets, but it's getting dry very quickly at the moment. So we're down to 31%. As I said, that crossover is 20%. Brugman on Strawn.
Yep, this for the lead. Brugman going around the outside. That's very brave if he can get it all the way around the outside there. He's hanging it in there, though. Can he get it done? Oh, fantastic. I'd doff my cap to that one. I never in a million months of Sundays thought you'd be able to get around the outside of Samsung. But there you are. He's been able to do it. Interesting corner name, but a brilliant move there to get himself back into the lead. Let's see what Strawn can reply with.
So it's been interesting to see now, do people save the wet tyres and see if it rains again later, or are they just going to go flat out and then make the change? It's a really tough call to make. It's much wetter offline now, so going offline is really going to hurt you.
It is indeed. The trick with this is if you're going to go with those slick tyres, we're getting to the point where you're almost at the transitional point online. It's so much drier that a slick tyre may work. And well, our drivers at the moment are about 10 or so seconds slower a lap than they were in quali on slick tyres, so it may work.
If I was if I was now 15th to 20th, I'd be thinking about coming in for slicks and just throwing the dice and seeing what happens.
Indeed, but if you go off onto that wet stuff, you're going to be in trouble. But let's keep an eye on our fight for the lead, because Strawn's up the inside on the wet stuff. Can he get it stopped? Ooh, just about. A little nudge between Brugman and Strawn there. Nothing too serious. Goodness me, they're just about getting it stopped. Blimey, I thought that was going to be a little drama there, but good amount of racing room left between those two. Nielsen, I think, at this point is just going to sit and watch and let these two fight. Hope you preserve his tyres a bit. He might be able to take advantage later. So an interesting little dynamic developing here. In any case, Strawn will certainly be adding to his points total at the moment as the leading driver in our Drivers' Championship.
As this saw Salo going for the pits, but he's come out on a set of wet tyres, which he may be regret that decision later. I'm just seeing if anybody on dry. Yaden Wright. I don't know if he started. I mean, he started from the pit lane. I don't know if he changed to wets and has changed to dries again, or if he actually been doing those laps on dries.
So Cameron Explorer saying he started on slicks. He's still on slicks. Fair play to him, trying that one out.
We're now at 18% wet online, so now is definitely the point to be starting to consider those dry tyres. It's whether it's going to rain again, though, is the question.
Lovely move just done by Whoopie Hoekstra. He's taken P4 from Tobias Olsen, but yes, your call out on there on Salo. As a Hoekstra, unfortunately, he's gone wide through 12 and he's lost position to Olsen as they're running towards 13.
It's raining again.
Cheeky little look there as well. No, Salo, that's a highly important turn of events here in this race, because he was one of our championship protagonists and he's lost a lot of time. And that's certainly got to be music to the ears of Eric Strawn. Not only has Strawn taken the lead on a lovely move down towards turn 1, getting nicely stopped on the brakes and passing Brugman just so rightly, that is just going to really help Strawn in trying to build that lead. But coming into this race, our actual second place driver in the championship was Ben Supenik, and he's having a good run at the moment in 6th place for Team Proline. All sorts of movement in the early going here with championship ramifications.
It is indeed, and yeah, I mean, Salo is slightly newer wet tyres. Like I said, it's starting to rain again. It's still at that kind of middle ground at the moment where you could get away on slicks, but it's very quickly going away again. So yeah, now it's back to wet. It's going to be interesting to see during those few laps where it was a bit dry if anybody has overheated their wet tyres and kind of ruined them. Oh, Brugman is going around the outside.
Ooh. Has he got it stopped for Portimao? Yes, he has, and he's got the inside line as well. So, and he's
contact there.
Yeah, a little bit of a touch there. He's gone. Excuse me, I'm just going to take my time to accelerate out of this corner. Thank you very much. Yes, no, I think your point about the tyres. I think drivers might have overused them a bit, overheated them, and well, if the grip goes away, you may as well try and get a new set of tyres. You're not going to gain any time on a worn set as Brugman. Oh, blimey, he's really having issues getting out of turn 13 there. Strawn all over the back of him through 14. And he's going to have to go mega defensive on the run down to turn 1 once again. Goodness me, yeah, Brugman really, I think almost, if he was able to get turn 13 sorted, I think he wouldn't have to defend as they go across to complete another lap. We're on lap 7 of 17. As look at that, Strawn cleanly up the inside again. And here comes Nielsen having a little look. Never know, might be able to profit from a little mistake, but nice and sensible driving from these three as they are rounding turn 3. But yeah, I think if Brugman was able to get a nicer line through 13 there, he would not have to defend so hard along the start-finish.
Watching 4th to 7th at the moment. Whoopi Hoekstra, Olsen, Waring and Chupenik all very close to each other. Waring to Olsen is very close as we go down towards turn 5, I think. Oh, down at the hairpin. Waring's got the inside. Is he going to be able to get the exit as well? Yes, he has. Oh, Hoekstra round! Oh, they both dodged him just about. Hoekstra round on his own. Losing a load of places there.
So while there was dramas down at turn 5 for that group, Brugman actually retook the lead into turn 5 on the brakes up the inside of Strawn. So clearly we've got 3 guys here who've got their cars set up very nicely for these wet conditions. So here comes Strawn, takes the lead again through Portimao, turn 10. Lovely stuff. He found the gap. He put his nose in there and he said, thank you very much, I'm taking this place. And he now retakes the lead. So here's going to be the interesting thing, as they're now running through 12. 2 factors. We're coming up to 13. We know Strawn's good through there, but we also have the back marker potentially in the mix. So we'll have to see if Nielsen is able to do anything here. Brugman taking a very tight line through 13. It's one of the many lines you can take through there, but if you, or I found personally, the WSS car, if you just leave it a little wide, you're able to carry a bit more speed through there. But it's all pretty even Stevens.
It is, I think this is the first time Brugman's been behind Strawn, though, down the straight. So we're seeing now he can slipstream as we go down towards turn 1. He's definitely got the speed. Oh, look at Nielsen's coming. He's going to go for both of them. definitely. Oh, he thought about going for Brugman. He's still trying to think about going for Brugman. No, he's backed off there.
No, I think that was wise. I think he saw that wasn't completely on, so let's avoid some contact. Let's pull the move back a second and look for another opportunity. But no, I think you're right there, actually. Strahan, I think that was the first time he didn't have to properly defend, actually, going along there. By the looks of it, the straight line speed of that ice-cold car is nicely done, as Waring for P4 has just overtaken Ben Zupanik going through turn 3 there. We've got Olsen now lining up Zupanik down into 5. We'll have to keep with this one. Zupanik going defensive, trying to keep an eye. Olsen trying around the outside. I think Zupanik's going to close the door on him there. Oh, he's left him a car's width. Very clean and respectful, and Olsen's got the move done. So another move there for Olsen. And unfortunately, Zupanik shuffles down back to 6th, but he's right with this pair. He could find himself on the podium, I beg your pardon, up into 4th place if he plays his cards right. So we'll keep an eye on that one.
I'm currently watching James Kirk, Patrick Vannemüller, and Woodby Hoekstra. Now, Hoekstra's now going to come back from 11th. A bit of contact between the three of them there. But, just about keeping it all together. Oh, Hoekstra into the back of Vannemüller. Did it sideways, but held it all together. He is much quicker than him, but you're going to have to go past him legally, mate, if you want to go up a place.
Yeah, that's one of the many things, I think that's just a difference of line, difference of car setup, and I think that just caught him out of it. So he's going to have to be a little careful. Thankfully, there wasn't too much contact, no breakages.
Brugman much quicker than Strahan again as we go down the main straight. Currently on lap 9 of 17. He's been last of the late breakers. He's got the inside line. He's been given room. He's not going too far wide. Strahan's got a much better exit there, though. But again, still looking the inside. No, he's backed off.
Yeah, no, the trick with turn 1, there's a little rise just where the apex is. And if you take too much of that, especially in these open-wheel cars, you're going to take that front wheel, certainly the front right, off the ground. And, well, that's going to compromise you going through the exit and obviously heading towards 2 and 3. I think wise there just to realise it's not on, back it off, and yeah, have another go somewhere else. While that was happening, though, Hoekstra has taken P10 from Vannemüller. He was able to get round. He's now actually lining up James Kirk as we're running down towards 5. I don't think that's not beyond this time, but we'll keep an eye on it for you.
Yeah, Vannemüller is still trying to kind of stay on the back of that. At the moment, the 4th, 5th and 6th, well, Chodder's now dropped off, but Zupanik and Olsen are still very close. That's kind of first of the non-podium drivers.
It's interesting, actually. So just returning to our leading trio here. It seems that wherever Brugman has a little bit of an advantage, Strahan has an answer for it. I think in terms of overall pace, these three cars are very similar. I think it's just a case of Strahan perhaps has the pace in the sectors where you can do overtaking and, well, defend overtaking. Brugman's perhaps just got a little more pace in, unfortunately, the sectors where there isn't the overtaking opportunity. So as they're running through turn 14 to complete lap 8, run on to lap 9 of 17, you can see already Strahan's just got a several car length gap and Brugman just has nothing to respond with. So I think it's going to require a mistake or a couple of banzai laps from the Brugman to be able to affect anything on Strahan for the lead.
Zupanik and Olsen. Zupanik pulled out too early actually on the main straight there and could have probably had a go at getting by, but he's going to have to look at turn 3 possibly. Oh, a bit sideways action as well. He's going down the inside. Ooh. Very close there. Oh, he's now going to get a nice exit though, and up as we go up the hill. No, he's going to get him, I think, somewhere. It's just
he's going to get him at 5. He's got that. He could see that one wasn't on, and I think he thought, right, let's get a better exit, try and get ourselves alongside. And here he comes. Can he do the move that Olsen did on him a lap or 2 ago? A little bit of a lock-up, a little bit of a pensive move from the car there. Ooh, struggling under power, so not that time round for Benz. But he's putting plenty of pressure on Olsen. He wants that 4th place.
Hoekstra and Vannemüller are getting very close together, and Kirk and McGlade are now trying to get involved, and Beresford's kind of hanging back. There's a bit of a load of them from 9th down to 13th there.
Goodness me, it's
5
almost 2x2 in the rain. Here comes Hoekstra up the inside at turn 8. Has he got the power down?
Really fighting for those positions. So really a few points in it for those ones, but they're still going for it.
It's a good race though, all the same. Vannemüller trying around the outside. That's going to be a risk. Here comes Kirk. Nothing on there for that one. But Hoekstra recovering just about. Ooh, he's run a little wide out of 10. He's just about kept it pointing in the right direction though. So Hoekstra
Beresford ahead of McGlade. Beresford up to 13th there. A nice move on McGlade as we go down towards those final corners as they're coming up to complete what will be lap 10 of 17 for these guys. Oh, Beresford really struggling to put the power down. That's really going to affect his exit in this last corner and the long run down before going back uphill onto the straight. but the slipstream should help eradicate that, as long as it doesn't go too wide.
Yeah, we should keep with this. The fight for ninth place has got 4 or 5 odd drivers in it, which is good stuff. Fighting up and down the point spectrum, which is what we like to see. To my eye, though, Hoekstra's definitely got a safe gap there. We'll have to see if anyone can affect anything down into turn 1. Not this time around. And interesting to see that Hoekstra is giving that apex at 1 plenty of room, clearly not wanting to take that little bump. So they stay as they were, as they're coming through Sector 1 here, on lap 11 of 70.
Just seeing who's got the last points position. It's currently Mike Schroten for Epic Racing in 15th, and he's got a 3-second gap to Philip Koenig in Downforce iZone Racing's car in 16th, so he's looking okay at the moment. But there's still, so many fights up and down, it's quite hard to keep up.
Yeah, there's all sorts of action up and down the field. And
Pelkonen and Silva fighting for 26th and 27th. Silva's got the inside line, but he's braked a little bit earlier. So Pelkonen, as long as it doesn't go too wide, all Silva's going to try and come back. Brilliant racing, like I said, up and down. I can't keep track of it all.
Yeah, it's a nice problem to have. We have too much good stuff to show you guys, so we have to try and keep up with it as best we can. Zupanek, he's got himself up to P4. Olsen all over the back of him, however. We've got a back marker ahead of this little scrap. The leaders are still nice and close together. Oh, goodness me, we're going to have to keep an eye on this. Brugman's got a really good run through 14 and is already affecting a pass on Strachan as they cross the start-finish. He's not all the way alongside. Oh, he is now. Can he do him on the brakes? Yes, he can. Oh, he's taken a bit of that bump, though. He's had to slow it down. Strachan immediately looking to take the advantage as Brugman's recovering. But no, Brugman's got that one stopped very nicely for turn 3, and he's got that one to work. Lovely stuff from Brugman. Good response from Strachan. And, well, this one's far from over, that's for sure. Zupanek's still in 4th place, but with Olsen all over his gearbox. And we've got a proper fight. Proper fight for P11 and P12. We've got Beresford and Kirk. Beresford up the inside, but deciding to think better of that one. And McGlade is watching behind. So goodness me, there's lovely little scraps all over the field at this point.
Olsen going back up the ins. Oh, a bit of a cut there from Olsen. Zupanek should be able to get the power down and go around the outside. They're still fighting each other. Olsen had the slipstream on the main straight, but then the back marker kind of helped Zupanek get back in the front. So they are going side by side, a bit of contact. Zupanek's got the inside.
It's all... Oh, goodness me, there we go. Yeah, Olsen's been able to hold on to that one just, but only... Oh, good blimey, Zupanek. All on the power on the curb, and you're not going to find too much grip there, but he's kept that one going on the straight and narrow. Just heard on from cameraman extraordinaire that Beresford was able to complete a move on Kirk there for 11th and 12th, so they're continuing to scrap. If we return, though, to our leaders just for a moment, Brugman has come out of turn 13 and Strachan immediately. Look at the speed he's got through 14. Clearly that car is working so much better through that very fast right-hander. I think Brugman's going to have to do some defending. They cross the start-finish line to complete lap 12, move on to lap 13. We don't have far to go now, coming up on 3/4 distance. Can Strachan do anything on the brakes? No, he can't. All I think Brugman has to really do is focus on the exit. He's got a slightly poor one. Strachan's nailed it. He's got himself up the inside for 3, and that should be a done deal. And Brugman keep with it through 4. Look at the momentum he's been able to keep on that wet karting line. Look at that lovely defence. Lovely stuff from Brugman. Maintains the lead. Lovely stuff, and good space left all round there.
Zupanek back up to 4th. Him and Olsen are still fighting each other. The rain's died down a little bit, but not too much. It's still definitely wet tyre. Waring and Chodra. Chodra's gone a bit wide, but should be able to recover there. Yeah,
it's definitely wet territory. I'd say with the number of laps we've got left, the opportunity to do any form of dry running, I think, has just about left the building. But we've seen a few guys try it. Hasn't quite worked out this time around, but I'm sure, there will be those who will be willing to give it a go, and on their day, it will work for them. Now, let's keep an eye on our little scraps we've got up and down the field. We've got Choda and Waring. Choda going, oh dear, Choda for 6th, now into 7th. He got that line completely wrong through 7. Very tricky double right. Niemanen also taking advantage, but Choda, interesting, I think he got the advantage of being off the circuit. He was able to retake 7th place then. So,
well, he kind of lost the place, and because he went so wide, he managed to get the speed back to get at least one of the places back that he lost. It's now 27% wet on line, so I think you're right in terms of it's not worth pitting now, but it's going to ruin those wet tyres very quickly again.
Beg your pardon, we've got a fight for the lead. Here comes Strachan. He's got a much superior exit through 14 again, and here comes Brugman. I'd say if it's like that going across the start-finish line on the final lap, it's going to be a done deal. Brugman tries to hang in there. It's not worked for him. Strachan retakes the lead, and here comes Nielsen. Can Nielsen affect anything? Brugman going very defensive into 3. Nielsen seeing that, trying to hang it round the outside. Oh, the door is closed. Brugman saying, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm not letting too fast in one lap. Thank you very much. So Strawn retakes the lead. A lovely move into turn one. The balance of power between this group continues to shift, and they've built a 15-second gap to the next cars along. So they've been in a class of their own this evening.
Watching Niemann and Trotter at the moment. Niemann's just about got that. Yep, he's up to 7. Olsen and who's that falling down the order a little bit?
Pennick apparently has dropped down to P8. I think that might just be a timing glitch out there.
Yep. Yeah, it must be a timing glitch. He's still right up there.
Yep, so we'll keep an eye on that unless he somehow missed a sector, which would be highly unusual. Just returning to our leaders, Brugman immediately is right on the gearbox running through turn 10 of Strawn. I'd say Brugman definitely has got that middle sector nailed. But there isn't a particular overtaking opportunity in there apart from turn 5, which is the hairpin. But we'll keep an eye on this. We've got a back marker. Themselves nicely out of the way, so they won't be a factor in this one. As here comes Brugman into 13, continuing with that tighter line. I would contend it is the shorter line, but I don't think it's the quickest. As he's now going to have the opportunity to try and repass Strawn, running through 14, and goodness me, Brugman, I think he ran a little wide. That's going to give Strawn a little bit of breathing room. And Strawn immediately going defensive, running off the racing line. The gap half a second as they cross the start-finish that time around. And Brugman, nothing he can do on this time around. He's going to have to rebuild his gap or his advantage through Sector 2 and try and get that gap down.
You say running offline to defend. I think it was more much running offline to keep those tyres cool, because I mean it's now nearly getting towards a dry line.
Yep, no,
so dry tyres would work now, but offline it's still very wet, 53%. I think there's more cooling the tyres as much as defensive driving.
I think you've hit the nail on the head on that one. Actually, it has indeed dried out very quickly, as Scott Beresford we're hearing from Cameraman Extraordinaire to set the fastest lap of the race, so he's enjoying a little bit of free air. But yes, this trio, sort of a couple of them, then running onto that wet line, perhaps just trying to cool those tyres down, get them in their operating temperature. Now it looks like the timing has sorted itself out. Zupenik is now in 4th place, and comfortably so. And interestingly, we now have a fight between P5 and P6. This is Olsen and Waring. So Olsen's really fallen off the back of Zupenik over the last lap and a bit. Waring well and truly up the gearbox of Olsen. Can he affect anything into 8? No, I don't think he can. So not really an overtaking place, although we have seen it work. Yeah, nothing really between these two at this point in time. Still little clumps of drivers. We've got a nice, actually, little scrap developing for P10. We've got Hoekstra, McGlade and Wannemuller all in close proximity, with Kirk a little bit further down the road. So there are definitely fights to be had. As we now, I'm just going to request we focus on the leader, Strawn. Strawn's made a mistake. He's run too wide out of 14, and that's given Brugman all the opportunity he needs. Across the start-finish he goes, retakes the lead. Can he complete the move down into 1? Yes, he can. Oh, but Strawn immediately looking for the cutback. Brugman closing the door on that one. Here comes Strawn. Nothing really on there. We've got a back marker ahead of us, as in the form of Thomas Jacobs in the Dogecoin car. I'm sure he's already noticed the leaders are there and will move aside, but by the looks of it, it's going to be a two-way fight on this, the final few laps here between Strawn and Brugman for the win. Looks like Nielsen's just stepping aside a little bit as Jacobs getting well out of the way. So is Sousa Ferreira. Nielsen running in 3rd, and by the looks at Brugman, got a much better exit through 5 there, so a bit more breathing room. This was his sector he was strongest in, I think it's fair to say, over Strawn. Look at Strawn just closing up all the way through 7 and 8 there, just carrying a little more speed. Brugman having to think, I think defensively now, is running down towards turn 10. Nothing really on through 9. Can Strawn pop anything up the inside here? Nope, thinks better of it.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think it's like I said, the finish line's actually quite early on that long straight, so it's not really going to be worth hanging behind and then trying to get the slipstream, because it won't work. So I think he's going to have to really try to make the move on this lap, the penultimate lap, and then kind of hopefully stay ahead in the final lap. So
indeed, as it starts to rain once again, another factor we may have to contend with. These guys are so quick, they might actually catch a real gaggle of cars just ahead of them. But before we get to that possibility, we've got to run through turn 14. Here's Brugman. He's just not got quite that line through 14. Strawn is just a little bit superior. Here they go across the start-finish line to start the final lap. The gap between the two, that time around, just 0.02 of a second. Strawn taking the lead down towards turn 1. Can he complete it? Ooh, they're still side by side as they run through. Smith getting out the way as Strawn completes it for turn 3. Here comes Brugman. He's hanging it all the way around the outside. He's found some grip. He's up the inside. Can he complete it? Yes, he can. Is he vulnerable, though, on the undercut? Not by the looks of it. He's
Nielsen's
having
trying to
go
get involved as well
defensive.
now.
Nielsen now getting involved. These two scrapping. It might give him the opportunity. Brugman down into 5. Can he cover it? Yes, he can, and he's keeping it nice and slow. Stopped on the apex. I'm not giving you any opportunity, sunshine. As they're now running through 6. If Strawn wants to do something, I think it's going to have to be early, and he's going to have to defend for his life as they run towards 8. Brugman, a defensive masterclass, closing all the opportunity off. However, if you drive defensively, you're going to leave yourself vulnerable to opportunity, and here comes the back markers. Are they going to get out of the way? Yes, they do. The initial set. Here comes Walters. He's avoiding it just about for now. Good stuff. As we run through 10, Strawn, so much more speed. The little wiggle there from Brugman. As we're now running up through 11 into 12. Can't see the apex when you're braking for this one. We'll have to see who's being brave. By the looks of it, they've both got that one stopped. Nielsen a little bit running wide. As we now run down towards 13, I think the whole race is going to be on this corner. Strawn going for the tight inside line. He's going for the Brugman line. Brugman covering it off. It almost rolls reversed on that one. Here comes, we've got Pestov's immediately ahead. Will that play a factor? We'll have to find out as they run through 14. Pestov's much slower. Can Brugman hold the line? This is going to be a photo finish. Up the inside, Pestov's being used for a slipstream. Oh, goodness me. Brugman holds on, wins race 1 by 1,000th of a second. Goodness me, and Jesper Nielsen just 4 tenths behind. Strawn, a noble effort using that marker, trying to get a little bit of slipstream, but Brugman held on in a defensive masterclass. Goodness me, what a win for the Mad Cape driver.
It wasn't quite as close as you made it. It's 16 thousandths of a second, but it was still very close. We're talking less than a foot really between it. It was the back marker there helped Strawn at the end. Not quite. If that was another 100 meters down the road, he probably would have got the win. I'm just seeing if there's any fights at near the end. We got Bacalo and Schroten at the moment as they come around the final corner for 13th and 14th. Bacalo's trying to get the inside line. No, Schroten's covered it. He's going to try to get a wide line, cut back in. They're both kind of de-accelerating down this final corner. Bacalo's going to try and go wide. No, he's going to go off. It's okay because it's Philip Koenig is a few seconds behind. So it's Philip Koenig that gets the final points position. Schroten was holding 15th for a while, so he got a couple of places there at the end. So good job from him.
Good stuff. Yes, let's run through our points finishers now at the end of the very, very, very frantic first race this evening. We have winning Lars Brugman. Eric Strawn came home in second with Jesper Nielsen coming home in third. Ben Supenik continuing his good form, came home in P4 with Andrew Waring coming home in P5 for Centurion. Ari Niemanen for Koala came home in 6th with Scott Beresford, the racing team Schroten in 7th. Tobias Olsen for Bastovic came home in P8 with Sandeep Choda, and Lewis McGlade rounding out our top 10. Wupke Hoekstra finished in P11. Patrick Vannemuller for Cosmo finished in P12. Mike Schroten for Epic came home in P13. Ilja Bracalo came home in P14. And as Phil just mentioned a moment ago, Philip Koenig, Downforce iZone Racing, came home in P15. Whew, goodness me. That was that was quite something. And the first thing anyone said after the race, well, the front left was on 3% on the finish line. So tyres pushed to the limits, cornering pushed to the limit, overtaking pushed to the limit, defence pushed to the limit. A race of superlatives, and Lars Brugman can, I think, be very, very pleased with that one.
He would be. Spare a fault for his teammate, who technically is finishing 33rd, ran out of fuel. So must have been a mistake there of how much fuel they needed for the race. But yeah, sadly, not quite good there for Adam Wright. But his teammate's got a nice race win for the team, and Ice Cold will be very happy with second and third. And Salo, who was in the battle for those points, finishing 21st.
Yeah, that's
so no points for him.
Yeah, so the Ice Cold are doing everything absolutely spot on as far as a constructor would want. They were already 60 or so points ahead of their nearest rival in the constructors, and coming home on a double podium in the first race is not going to hurt that one whatsoever. But goodness me, all I'm going to say is that was just superb from our top three in terms of nice, clean racing. Goodness me, space left. Opportunities which weren't lunged or half done, and well, look at that, a great race from those three, a great podium, and hopefully we'll get to talk to them at the end of this evening, because goodness me, it's a treat to have beholded that. And goodness, I've forgotten who had that brilliant move around the outside of turn 8, but I want to go and shake their hand. That is incredible stuff.
So we'll now go to a small warm-up session ready for race 2, and just having a look on the old Twitters. You can hashtag GPVWC or tweet to GPVWC. I was seeing Adam Wright and Ben Warren were getting ready earlier for a good evening. Adam Wright Yeah, slight mistake there. The fuel loads. I didn't see where Ben Warren finished, but yeah, Mad Cape Racing on the racing team on Twitter are very happy with that brilliant battle, and yeah, a race win for them.
Yep, excellent stuff. And
Oh, it's now raining even harder.
so we've got a short warm up just between now and our second race, and it is indeed. It's truly chucking it down. We expected
Attention, girls, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
so goodness me. One other factor we haven't mentioned yet, of course, is we've got a reverse grid in play for our second race. So we'll wait for who was drawn out of that hat in a moment. So yes, all sorts of potential variables on top of the weather to consider. But no, as you were just saying, we are going to be keeping an eye on the Twitter, so feel free to tweet in hashtag GPVWC. Any questions, comments, or anything like that, feel free to tweet those in. And yes, we'll hopefully have a bit of viewer dialogue as we prepare here for our second race. Phil, any highlights from you? It was a really good race all in all.
Just a good race all along, and I mean, yeah, it was frustrating that a couple of people tried changing the dry tyres. It just didn't work. I think, like I said, the thunderstorms that are predicted kind of for this afternoon means that I wouldn't be surprised if it's a wet race for the whole of race 2 as well.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot actually of ITT last year, Autopolis. Kind of similar conditions, a lot of rain, but at the same time, there's opportunity for the track to dry. And do you make that gamble? I did, and it didn't work out for me. But anyway, these things happen. So goodness, all sorts of chances and of variability. And well, in reality, I don't think we could necessarily predict what's going to happen in the second race. Other than the fact there probably will be some rain in some form or another. Anyway. Speaking of rain, we had rain last time around at Catalonia, and if you missed the last broadcast, we will talk you through that. So last time out, we're at Catalonia, the lovely circuit to Catalonia in Barcelona, and Eric Strawn, well, much as he's done this evening, he absolutely nailed it, and he took a win in the first race, third place in the second race, and well and truly cemented his way to try and take the lead of, well, the Constructors' Championship, of course, but also the Drivers. But also a shout out for Ben Supenik. He was strong in the first race here this evening. He was equally strong. He got his first win last time out in race 2. Do you think he could do it again this evening, Phil?
Well, he was having a tough fight in the midfield there. Where did he finish? I think 4th in the end. He had decent race there. Could he do it again? I think in these conditions, it's going to be it levels the playing field up much more. So we'll see how that happens. I know we're having a few technical issues with the stream at the moment. So hopefully we'll get you some more pictures when they come back. We've got just over 8 minutes to warm up, so hopefully more than enough time to fix the gremlins.
Absolutely. Gotta love the old blue screen of death from the cameraman. But anyway, we will persevere. And if you never know, radio might work. There's so much action there, I think radio would have worked. But anyway, yes, no, I think in general, it's interesting to see at this very early stage. We're only on round 4 of 17. We're already starting to see the emergence of those who want to make an impression early on in the championship. And yes, it's going to be, I think, fascinating to see how things will pan out if it will continue to be this. Well, we're now entering our, if you will, European season of circuits with the likes of Monaco and such coming up in the imminent future. And we're going to be interested to see if people will be able to continue their good form as of late throughout the season. And I'm sure, given the quality we've just seen, that will definitely be a consistent factor this year.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the constructors' standings. Like I said, at the moment, the Ice Cold are going to, dare I say it, they're running away with it at the moment. And that victory for Brugman, for the Mad Cape Racing team, I mean, they're currently in 4th in the constructors, but they're only 13 points behind Basvik in 2nd, so they're going to jump up to 2nd place, I think, with that win. So that was a good hold of points for them. But yeah, Ice Cold, I think, are just kind of going to run away with the constructors. It's going to be a best of the rest, I fear.
Yeah, I mean, so of course it's a two-sided coin. You've got to salute the success, but at the same time you'd wish, oh, what if? But to be honest, I think there's so many superb little fights to be keeping an eye on. Yes, there may be the grander picture of an overall championship, but I think really you've got to take this race to race. Well, as a viewing spectacle, I'm enjoying myself, and hopefully you are all too watching at home. So, yes, all sorts to keep an eye on. We have another 6 or so minutes of warm-up to go, and the wet conditions persist, as we mentioned earlier, and only one driver has actually completed a hot lap, as it were. So yeah, not ideal conditions for the drivers. I'm sure they're not enjoying these whatsoever.
interesting. I mean, the only one time lap at the moment is Picarlo with 1:40, which is a few seconds slower than warm-up was in the previous session, but it's just the rain is so heavy, it's just they can't get any power down. It's quite a few slow corners, which are then key for onto these long straights. I mean, I'm watching Picarlo at the moment, we're going down towards turn 5, the long hairpin left, and then you need to be back on the power as you go up the hill. He can't get the power down, and a bit of a sideways action as he kind of aborts that one.
Yeah, the issue with these cars, they are just simply not really built for these conditions. They are built for nice, hot, summery days where there's a slight breeze and there's perfect visibility. We definitely don't have that today, but it does highlight other aspects of your driving technique and everything else. You know, those who are gentle on the steering and gentle on the throttle will be able to benefit. And we've seen a few drivers, I mean, so for example, Whoopie Hoekstra has just put in a lap in his car a good second quicker than anyone else at this point in time. So he may be relishing the conditions at this point. So I think all the same, yes, the cars aren't ideally suited to this, but everyone's in the same, well, car, I wouldn't say boat in these conditions, but everyone's got the same machinery. They've got to make do with what they've got. And, well, we just saw 3 cars in that first race clearly had their machines working at tip-top ability, and they pulled one heck of a gap to the next car on the road. So,
as a midfielder back kind of Balka driver, I would love these conditions, but as a driver who's very kind of extreme in the steering wheel, as Hoekstra has a massive incident, I would be dreading kind of getting the power down out of those corners.
yes, certainly. I mean, so the thing with Portimao, I found this in the WSS car, because there is such undulation, you've got to get the exits right. If you get those exits, you know, even a few miles an hour wrong, the speed, the momentum you'll lose going up the hills, which then approach you, or you lose going down the hills, it will kill your lap time, and it will ruin what would otherwise be a good lap. And of course, then you realise you're losing time. You start to perhaps overdrive the car a bit, and you just cause yourself more grief. It's very much a track where the rhythm is hugely important, and if you do lose rhythm for any reason, be it just not being able to get the power down and everything else, you are really going to be in trouble. And goodness me, the conditions do not look like they're getting any better for anyone. So, to goodness me, everyone having a real issue getting around at this point in warm-up. We'll have to see if these very wet conditions carry over for our second race this evening, which we do have a reverse grid has been drawn. It's number 17. Unfortunately, who finished 17th is escaping me at this point in time, but we'll get that for you.
That was
on our grid.
Ben Warren.
Ah, Warren. Dogecoin, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Excellent. Right. So we have a Dogecoin on pole. Wow. And well, we'll run through the grid once we have it. So I've been waiting for that opportunity.
You've been, much weights.
Wow. So there we go. So we have to see how that one works out for Ben. And the beauty of the reverse pole is you never know. With a bit of free air ahead of it, you might be able to achieve some incredible things. So we'll have to wait and see what may happen in that one. We've got a final few minutes here of warm-up. Anyone you'd suggest watching out for, Phil, at this very early stage?
We're just making our own jokes now, aren't we, with Dogecoin remarks. Whoever can keep it on the tarmac, really, because I mean, the turn 1 with the reverse grid's going to be quite extreme, I fear. And there's, like I said, not much runoff there. It's kind of gravel, then you've got a wall. And we saw one car go off there early on in the race. And I remember when doing touring car racing here, I remember a few cars kind of going straight on at the right-hander. So it'll be interesting to see how that all works out during lap 1. I couldn't really call anybody. I think Trepenic, we know Trepenic's good. We know he can make a few places up in race 2. But I mean, those ice cold guys were just and Brugman were in a league of their own. It's whether they can fight each other and move up the grid. You know, and can Salo make a comeback?
Yep, you never know. You never know. It's a tantalising prospect, that's for sure. And yeah, if Brugman and the ice cold boys can maintain that pace in the second race, I can see them incising their way through the field if conditions continue to be wet like this. And yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting to see what happens to those ahead. The speed differential between some of these cars is quite large. Some cars set up for straight line speeds, some set up for gripping the corners, and you'll have varying amounts of speed taken into the corners. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to manage and appreciate that and avoid themselves running into the back of someone and causing themselves a drama. We'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't bet against any of those three, but then again, you never know who might be able to make some magic happen in our wonderful reverse grid. And able to pull off the stunner. So we're just having our grid formed at this point by our race director. We've got a minute or so of warm-up to go.
Here's a question for you for the final 60 seconds.
Hmm.
Seeing this is a rather recent track, can you ever see F1 being here?
You want to know something? So, part of my spiel of preparing for the broadcast, I tend to like to look up the history of the track. I didn't realise first of all it was so new. It's only built in 2008. It is actually credible and has all the various paperwork and things to be a Formula 1 track. And they have actually tested Formula 1 cars here. I would love to see. I think it's a Formula 1 course. I think it'd be brilliant. All sorts of undulation and tests for the drivers.
I think Austin has proved that the undulation does actually work. I think there's quite a nice few flowing corners. I think that the first that turn, what would be turn 2, would be a bit extreme. Sorry, turn 3 in fact. Going into turn 4, but yeah, to me it doesn't seem like the runoffs are very long, especially this last corner. I mean, if you were to get a tank slapper a long day, you're going to smack the barrier. I mean, admittedly Japan, I suppose it's rather similar in that there's not much runoff there. And I remember Timo Glock injuring himself to Toyota years ago, so it can happen.
Just stick a good gravel trap in there, that's what I say. Bring back the gravel traps.
Yeah, none of this tarmac runoff.
None of this tarmac rubbish. Yes, keep that on the track, thank you very much. But anyway, before we go off on a tirade, before our second race, we just have our final few moments of warm-up here. Good luck being wished by drivers to one another, and our race director just getting everyone sorted.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
And our factor man calls out for the final time this evening. Oh, goodness me, excuse me. We will now wait for our drivers to take their positions on the grid for the second 17-lap race of this evening. And interesting, just keeping an eye on some of the names in our top 10. We've got some very quick folks who I think will be able to make a serious impression here in our first or in our reverse grid race. I beg your pardon.
Just making sure everyone's coming out on the wet tyres with a few seconds to go. Rasmus Salo's come out on dry tyres.
I fear that may be a mistake.
I think that's a mistake as well as it gets wetter. So as they start their warm-up lap, do you want to go for the grid?
Oh, thank you very much. Still, yes, starting on pole position for race 2 for Dogecoin Racing will be Ben Warren. He is followed by Edward Attila for Zedric Racing in P2 with Philip Koenig for Downforce iZone Racing starting in P3. Ultra Bracalo for Triple 20 will be starting in P4 with Mike Schroten for Epic Racing rounding out the top 5. Patrick Warnemüller for Cosmo will be starting in P6 with Whoopke Hoax for Epic Racing starting in P7. Lewis McGlade for Kyala Racing will be starting in P8 with Sandeep Choda for Team Proline starting in P9. Rounding out our top 10 for race 2 this evening will be Tobias Olsen for Bastavik Grand Prix.
You got Scott Perisford in P11, Racing Team Schroten. He made some good moves, so keep an eye out for him. Harry Nieneman for Kajala Racing in 12th, with Andrew Waring, Centurion Grand Prix in 13th. We've then got Trupenik down in 14th. It'll be interesting to see how he can go for Team Proline. We've then got those ice colds of Jesper Nielsen and Eric Strand in 15th and 16th. Lars Brugman in 17th for Mad Cape Racing. The Arrow International Racing of Mike Bell in 18th. Timu Toika for IYTF1 in 19th. And Tamu Cabrera for 20th place for Viking Racing.
Then we have Rasmus Salo on his dry tyres, which I don't think will be on for too much longer. He'll be starting in P21. Victor Silva for Centurion will be starting in P22. With James Kirk for Drake starting in P23. Jaden Wright for Triple 20 will be starting in P24. With Ollie Pelkonen for Katana Motorsport starting in P25. Adam Oscar for Deltec will be starting in P26. With Andres Pestos for Zedric Racing starting in P27. Andreas Walters in the first and back Barker Brigade cars will be starting in P28 with Thomas Jacobs following him in P29 for Dogecoin, and rounding out the top 30 with Bruno Souza Ferreira for Scuderia Basilica.
Well, the YTF1 of Joe Pereira in 31st and Sam Jones in 32nd for Arrow International Racing. Adam Wright for Mad Cape Racing Team in 33rd. Hopefully he's got enough fuel now. Yari Bujpasha for Scuderia Basilia in 34th. And it's Simon Smith for Back Barker Brigade in 35th. Rebellis, Katana Motorsports in 36th, Hans-Go Moebius for Cosmo Autosport in 37th, Tommy Ajala in 38th for Racing Team Schroten, and finally Dennis Mitchell, who hopefully won't get a disconnect before the start of the race, for Deltec Racing Team in 39th.
A nice full grid. Our leaders are just forming up, and actually I did notice during that formation that there was a big old gap between, I want to say, around 30th place, a big old expanse of space left there. Everyone just about getting in their grid boxes. I can't see anyone...
starting on dries.
Fair play to him. Perhaps he knows something that the rain gods has not told us. But anyway, everyone's in position. We're waiting for the lights to come on. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are racing. Quick lights. Who's got away well? Looks like a fairly even start all the way. A little bit of a bunch going on in the midfield. Warren holds his lead though down into turn 1 as we've got a move going done there a long way up the inside for turn 1. Few cars running wide. By looks of it, everyone just about making their way. I can't see too many spins. Warren though very deep into 3. Koenig following him. Batala following him as well. But Warren makes his way through turn 4 on lap 1 with a healthy gap as everyone's making their way through. Oh, Hoekstra! Hoekstra off onto the gravel. He's got the power all wrong there. He's going to lose a whole bunch of positions as our whole field now runs down towards turn 5. Oh, that's a late move, I want to say, from one of the Epic cars. Contact made. Thankfully, no damage, but our grid is well and truly away on what's been a fairly action-packed first couple of corners here. Race 2.
Yet wearing Batala rather close. Whoa, Olsen, what an overtake against Schroten there. He really just dived up the inside. The speed difference was astronomical. Schroten's rather slow at the moment. Guessing he can't put the power down at the moment. What's happening at the front there?
Up the front, it is as we were. We got a little bit of a move perhaps being looked at by Bracalo on Koenig. That's a little scrap between Triple 20 and Downforce. Still side by side as Koenig, oh, he's late on the brakes. He's having a cheeky look up the inside of Warren, but that's going to compromise all of them on exit. I think it's going to give the opportunity to those behind to try and catch up. Warren making his way through turn 13. There's Koenig on the slightly wider line, and Bracalo just behind as we run through 14. We saw how important these 2 corners were. Let's see which driver takes which line. By the looks of it, they're all slightly compromised as they run through the exit. We have Warren leading from Koenig, but I expect there's going to be a move being made here down into turn 1. Here comes Koenig. Warren taking to the racing line nice and early. Here comes Bracalo in the slipstream, who's later on the brakes. Pretty even if you ask me. Koenig, though, takes the lead, does he? Oh, a little bit compromised over the rise. Warren holds on to the lead. Bracalo just absolutely nailing the exits there. Oh, Bracalo, look at this. He's got himself nicely stopped for 3. Can he get it up the outside for 4? No, he can't, but he's got the undercut. Look at that, easy peasy. But look at Waring. Waring, what a stunning bit of driving. He's been able to keep all his momentum. Can he make a move for the lead? He's on the brake. Space being left. Stopped and stunning from Andrew Waring in Centurion Grand Prix. What a move.
Warren's lost a few places there. Brilliant overtakes.
Right place, right time. Waring takes the advantage and the lead on lap 2 of 17. Stunning stuff from the Centurion driver. Unlucky there for Warren, caught out, wrong place, wrong time. Here comes Zupenik. Zupenik has now got himself up to P4. He's having a good run here in race 2. Can he make anything happen on Bracalo? He's having a look up the inside for Portimao. Ooh, goodness me. Oh, how's he done that? He's got that one stopped. I'm amazed. Oh, he'd go and slide off the edge there, but on he runs. He's up into P3. He's clearly feeling feisty. He's clearly feeling racy. In these very wet conditions, the rain continues to pour as they are running through turns 12 and 13. Waring has a second or so gap between himself and Koenig, but Zupenik is on the march.
And Salo has not finished. That's 2 0-point finishes this evening for him. Where meanwhile, it's Strawn up into 7th, and his teammate currently down in 10th. But they made a lot of positions at the start there.
Good to hear that they've kept their noses clean and they are making their way through the field, because as we all know, consistency is the key. Unfortunately, Salo having a little bit of a issue with consistency at this very early stage of the season. Still early going though, plenty of time to recover. As I'm just keeping an eye on a fight between first and second. Koenig very close, almost right on the gearbox of the Centurion car of Waring through 3. Nothing really on though. They run through 4. Zupenik also in the mix. He's not quite with them yet, but he's very, very quick through turn 1 as we're on lap 3 of 17 here. And to me, I think Zupenik's just got that car stopping so much nicer than our 2 leaders. I think we'll be with them before any time at all. But let's keep an eye on Olsen. Olsen's now on the back of Bracalo. This will be a fight for P4 and P5. And Olsen, we saw lovely move early on. And here comes Olsen up the inside again. He's going to put the decision in Bracalo's hands. Are you going to try and stick with it? No, Bracalo's thought better of that one. Lovely move again by Olsen through turn 8.
Yeah, Strawn's currently in 6th and just kind of sit back and just see what those 3 get up to at the moment. So I don't blame him. Getting a nice solid amount of points. His teammate's just behind. Oh, his teammate's gone wide. And Warren's going to take a wider line, but no, he's not going to be able to hold it there.
That's unfortunate. That's one of the many hazards of that turn 10. There's not much grip on the outside. Here comes Beresford round the outside of Warren. Can he get that one done? Yes, he can, because he'll complete that one nice and easily into 13. Lovely stuff. And here comes Batala. Oh, that wasn't really on Batala. Yeah, that's all a bit clumsy, that. That's not what we want to be seeing, but Warren, unfortunately, really unlucky there. He's lost several positions through no fault of his own. The whole gaggle of cars have got past him there. So, goodness me, I'm just going to return our eyes to the front. Here comes Olsen. He's overtaken Zupanik for P3 and P4, running down into the braking zone for turn 1. Olsen clearly got a very slippy car, but Olsen's run wide. He's run well wide, and here comes Bracalo. He senses the opportunity. Can he get it stopped for 3? Ooh, yes, he can. And here comes Strachan. Strachan's made hay while the sun hasn't shined, and he's found himself up in P5. Olsen now shuffled to the back of this group, and Strachan has got the best exit of the lot. Zupanik going defensive. Can Strachan pop through the middle? Ooh, he's having a think. Bracalo a little heavier on the brake. Zupanik's outbraked himself. He's falling all the way down the order. Strachan having a real drama with putting power down. So is Olsen. But Bracalo, wise old head through there, has gained a bunch of positions, and he's got himself up into P3. Waring is loving it, though. He's got a 1.2 second gap. As
Zupanik's wide, Olsen's to the back. It's all going on. Zupanik went wide, Olsen went into the back of Strachan, but Strachan's now up to 4th. And they're now, he can get a nice podium positions here, even more points. His teammates in 7th as well, and kind of trying to get some position for the team as well.
A little more traction, a little less wheel spin, please, from a group of these cars. As Zupanik nicely up the inside of Olsen there, but I don't think he'll be able to make anything happen. But yeah, I think that was just an issue of cars all being caught out, tripping over one of each other, not getting the power down. And here comes Strachan on Bracalo for 3rd place. Bracalo going, no, thank you. I'm holding on to this for now. Thank you very much. As they run into 3, covering the line, stopping Strachan from getting the power on when he wants to. And look at Bracalo. I'd say he's got a much better exit than Koenig, even ahead of him. So he might be on for a 2nd place position. But look at Strachan. Goodness me, look at the speed he's been able to carry through turn 14. All that good work done by Bracalo, holding the line through 13, undone. But here comes Strachan. Can he make anything happen down to turn 1? No, I don't. I think he's running a bit more wing, which is, of course, what he would be doing in these wet conditions. And he's losing out in the straight lines fight. Koenig's gone wide. Here comes Bracalo up the inside for 2nd. That's a move just about done. They're all going to trip out over each other. Strachan, I think, has spotted that. He's decided to go conservative. Here comes Olsen. Whoa! All being very feisty. I think everyone's realised if you get a good exit from 3, forget about 4, you'll nail them down into 5. Here comes Strachan up the inside of 2. Ooh, space just about left. Bracalo living just about the right amount of space. Bracalo up into P2, Strachan into P3. Koenig shuffles down the order.
Waring at the lead at the moment. It's now 4.5 seconds ahead of this, and he's really having to go for it before Strachan gets ahead of Bracalo and hunts him down. So, yeah, it's been interesting to see if Bracalo can hold it there for much longer.
Absolutely, these mixed conditions can do all sorts of things, and Waring's done a great job. Gap up to 5.1 seconds as they cross the timing line. Heading into Sector 3, could be a lovely gap to have to play with as the conditions continue to degrade, getting wetter all the time. But Strachan,
I wouldn't call these mixed. I'd call these wet conditions. Oh, Bracalo on the brakes is going to push Strachan right there, and that's nearly. Oh, Olsen nearly took him out.
Little luck up on the rear axle, exactly what you don't want to be happening in these kind of conditions. Bracalo nicely held. Strachan still trying to find a way past this triple 20, but no way being given. Mitchell, back marker, getting out the way. But look at the speed Strachan's got. He's just able to hold it in a really nice steady arc and just hold on to the speed. But as we can see here on the straight, he's got nothing. Bracalo's got a little less wing, I would say, and he's making hay. Well, I've already made the hay while the sunshine joke, but he's just able to hold on to that position. Zupanik sorted himself out, and he's now got himself up into 4th. As we've now got Beresford getting up ahead and alongside of Olsen. Olsen going well wide. Oh dear, he's off into the gravel at 3. He should be able to recover that one, but he's going to lose a load of position. Beresford up to P5 for Racing Team Trope. Olsen, the big loser on that one, I think just being a little bit too hot. We've got actually side-by-side action for P8 and P9 between Brugman and Niemanen. Brugman up the inside there into 5. Got that one done. Nicely done indeed. But Waring continues and the gap extends. Strachan, thank you, Cameraman Extraordinaire. Strachan's got ahead of Bracalo, I'd say probably through 5, I'm guessing. And is now under pressure from Bracalo through 8. But now here's the interesting point. Waring's got a 6-second gap. What can Strachan do about that? He's got plenty of time. Let's see what happens.
Bracalo, so basically it was round turn 3. It was actually around the outside Strachan managed to do it. We're hearing Bracalo's gone off. I'm just having a look into that now.
But yes, Strawn has a clear track ahead of him now. Let's see what he can do. Interesting behind us now. We got Scott Beresford clearly liking these conditions. He's got past Nilsson. He's up to P4. Now challenging Zupenik for P3. So, excuse me, we must have lost someone for all that to happen from our leading group. Or I may just be imagining things. Quite likely the latter. Bracalo. No, thank you, Cameraman Extraordinaire, confirming I've not gone crazy. Where on earth has Bracalo gone? Goodness me, or was that him running wide? I may be losing it. But anyway, the net effect.
Yeah, he had an accident. Oh, a big accident. Yeah, I'm just watching it now. He's kind of gone round the long... Has he had an incident with somebody else? No, he's just gone to the curb. Where's that? Yeah, at turn 9. And just put power on too early and smacked it into the wall.
Nasty corner of that compression. Mid-apex, exactly where you need the car to be settled. And if it's not, you'll get spat out, as by the sounds of it happened to him. So unlucky for Bracalo there. What it has done, however, is allow Strawn to start to build a gap to the cars behind him in P2. The gap, interestingly, between Waring and Strawn hasn't really decreased at all. So Waring enjoying these conditions and keeping the gap. Just hearing from Cameraman Extraordinaire that Nilsson has got ahead of Beresford for P4 and 5, and he's now having a look at the back of Zupenik in the Team Pro line car. So these ice colds yet again working very well in these wet conditions, making hay while the sun shines. And I'll stop saying that now because that one's been overused. But let's see if Nilsson can do something special around the outside. Ooh, he's having a look, but nothing available that time round the outside, turn 10.
So Strawn's made 3/10 up, and that's 5.7. Like I said, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that gap. Now with Zupenik, Nilsson, Beresford, all kind of fighting each other, and Brugman kind of getting on the back of it, it's giving Strawn the opportunity to really kind of close that gap. He's just going around the final corner. Has he made any more kind of inroads on that gap at the moment? They will be taking on lap 8 he'll be going on to. The gap is now another 10th. Not quite enough at the moment, but he's getting there slowly. It'll be a one mistake from Waring and he'll be in trouble.
So here comes the psychology game, the game which you don't really necessarily think about when you watch these kind of events. Here you are in the lead of the race, a healthy gap, but you can see someone's nibbling at it. What do? Do you focus on that? Do you focus on driving your line? Well, it has to be. You just have to focus on yourself, do your best, because if you start worrying about someone else, you'll make mistakes. You'll just make their job even easier. Last time around, Strawn, was that half a second he just took out in the first sector?
He just took half a second in the first sector alone.
So there you go. There we are. So Strawn clearly feeling it now. He's got a bit of opportunity, and there you go. He's on his way and trying to reel in that gap.
Nilsson, and his teammates up to 3rd place, as we're seeing currently down 9th, 10th. Oh, Koenig's gone round. Koenig down from about 8th place has gone round and lost a load of places.
That's a pity for him, but these conditions continuing. They're not really changing. It's just constant wet at this point. As you're just saying, Nilsson, he's been able to work his way up to P3, overtaking Zupenik. Zupenik currently being battled at the moment, P4 by Scott Beresford. They're running up towards 12. Not really an opportunity there. We've got Lars Brugman just keeping a watching brief. As Beresford trying to go all the way around the outside, but that one's only going to get tighter and not give you any more opportunity. So an interesting little battle going on here. Now we have to see if Nilsson's able to bridge a gap, as his teammate has been able to do, and leave this little group for dead, as we are just running around to complete lap 8 of 17, running on to lap 9. So keeping an eye on the gap, it's decreased about by another half second again, so I'd say a second across the whole lap. So within a couple of laps, we might have a fight for the lead. By the looks of it, the first sector being strong.
Brugman, Zupenik and Beresford side by side through turn 1. Oh, Brugman's now going to try and get involved. 3 of them going into turn 2. This isn't going to work out very well, I fear.
No, just about enough space given. Beresford's got the inside of that one. That one's done, and everyone keeping it nice and sensible. No lunges at all through there, no point. As Zupenik shuffles down the order, but he might be able to get an opportunity for a move into 5. He's having a look. Oh, late on the brakes. I like this space given. He saw that one coming. Here comes Beresford on the switcheroo. Lovely stuff. Good space left. Good move counted, as we were for our mid of the top 10 scrap. As exactly what Nilsson will want while they're scrapping. He's building a gap, and Strawn continues to take time out of the leader. The gap now just 3.7 seconds, as we've now got the possibility, not for a little while admittedly, but we have back markers ahead which may play a factor. So we'll keep an eye on that one, but lots of scraps up and down the field, and by the looks of it, a tasty scrap slowly starting to develop between Lewis McGade and Mike Schroeter for P9 and P10, these two getting closer and closer. So So keep an eye on all these little bits of action as we've got some movement at P4 and P5.
Yeah, Brugman's now trying to get past Jupenik. Jupenik's going to take a... Oh, he's pushed him around. Oh, just managed to hold it together. He should be technically giving that place back, but I think he's going to have to anyway, because I think the slipstream for Brugman here is going to help him.
Yep, I'd say so. Interesting, Jupenik, he's downshifting through 14, where I think Brugman is not. He's just leaving it in the gear and keeping it tight to the curb. It's the best he can in these wet conditions, and here comes Brugman. Right inside that toe now, in that nice empty air pocket that Jupenik is creating. Can he get him on the brakes? He's later on the brakes. Nicely done. Up through turn 1. No dramas there. Jupenik, unfortunately, shuffling down the field, but he has been plenty racy in the last few races. I'm sure he'll be able to come back from that. So keep an eye on that. As Beresford, he's been able to gap, and even in the short time, he's been able to get ahead of Brugman and Jupenik. He's now got a second gap between himself and P5 runner Lars Brugman.
And as you called it, McGlade's got ahead of Schroten. So McGlade up to 9 on the straight, just kind of that slipstream all the way down the straight, had him by turn 1.
Lovely stuff. Good to see there's plenty of scraps going on everywhere. It's Waring spun. He's dropped it out of turn 8, and here comes Strawn. I was just about to say, actually, it's quite interesting. The gap hasn't started to decrease as much, so clearly Waring was starting to respond. But as I was mentioning a little bit earlier, what do? Do you watch yourself or do you watch your opponent? And unfortunately, Waring's made a mistake and it's cost him the lead. So Strawn takes the lead of race 2 here, and his teammate Jesper Nilsson is not all that far behind. So I think Waring's going to have some defending to do to recover from that. Pity, because Waring was doing a great job up to that point. So I'm sure he'll be able to recover and bring home a nice hatful of points for Centurion, however.
Yeah, it's now, I mean, looking at Nilsson, he'll be trying to get a 1-2 for Ice Cold Racing. And then Beresford's trying to get away from Brugman, but those two are going to be fighting each other for a while. Bit of a gap now to Jupenik, who's kind of struggled there around the second to last corner. But yeah, this last corner, it's all about getting the key kind of turn in and kind of getting the power out. And some of them are really acing it, some of them aren't quite doing so.
Then now the trick for Strawn will be, well, I'm in the lead. I've got a nice 2.4 second gap. I've got 6 or so laps to go. What's so difficult? Well, you've got to make sure that you don't get too lax and let someone get a sniff of that win and perhaps wrong foot you, and likewise you don't want to be pushing mega mad and make a mistake, which is very easy to do. The conditions getting worse actually now, definitely getting wetter, more and more rain falling on this 4.6 kilometre circuit. So it's going to be all about just taking it calm, keeping it consistent and treating each lap one by one, as Nilsson now really gaining on the back of Waring.
Oh, Schroten's going to lose a load of paces. Sandeep got the inside.
Waring, he's made another mistake through 5. Nilsson up the inside there. I was actually just about to say that Nilsson starting to bridge that gap. I'm just going to have a quick look at the replay and see what happened there. Did he just run it a little wide through 5? But so he gets on the power on the curb, and it slaps him. It's unfortunate, a little lack of traction coming out of turn 5, and that's cost him another place. So he's down to 3rd, or 1-2 for Ice Cold. Picture perfect for those two. We'll have to see if Waring has anything to respond to. But
Victor Silva round. Victor Silva losing a few places, now down to 14th place. That's helped Schroten and Bell. I mean, Schroten's lost a few places as well, actually. Schroten at turn 2 kind of tried going down the outside of Trodger and just went onto the AstroTurf and, yeah, went wide.
That's a pity for him, but there's still points to be had if you keep with it. Plenty of time to make an impression on this race. Strawn completes lap 11 of 17. He's on lap 12. The gap between himself and his teammate, 3.3. But interestingly, now Lars Brugman has been able to get up into P4. He's passed Scott Beresford, and he's bearing down on Andrew Waring. So he might be on for a reverse of our podium for the first race if things continue at the current pace and Brugman's able to pass Waring. But we'll have to see if that one is a reality or a prediction. We'll have to wait and see. Just keeping an eye on other close fights. Everyone's starting to spread apart a bit as the conditions continuing to degrade here around the circuit of Algarve. Certainly not a nice day to be going motor racing.
13th, 14th and 15th, 16th are all fighting each other. Cabrera's already lost one position. He could lose a second to downforces Koenig. A bit of contact there. And it looks like Victor Silva's going to try and take note of that through turn 4. Nope, 9-2.
Still, even though it may be for the last couple of points on offer, but still fighting for everything tooth and nail, which is what we like to see. It's never over until that checkered flag falls or the fat lady sings, whichever you prefer. But our gaps between the leaders are hovering. And actually, interestingly, on this lap so far, Nilsson's been able to take a couple of tenths of a second out of Strawn. So might we get a fight between the teammates? Ooh, that'll be an interesting one. as we're coming around turns 13 and 14 with our leaders to complete lap 12 of 17. Not far to go. We're over a third or two-thirds distance, but Waring isn't giving up. He's only a second and a bit behind our leading duo. And Brugman, all the same, is still actually gaining. He's much closer the last time around. Just keeping an eye on him. I'd say he's almost within the slipstream window here on Waring, so I'll give it another lap or two. We might have a fight for the final podium position.
And we had two retirements quickly, Yaden White and Silver. Nearly went into the back of Koenig at turn 5 and then just kind of gave up, I'm afraid, but that's a few more out.
That's unfortunately. Interestingly, Nielsen, I want to say, I swear that gap looks a little smaller than it did a lap or so ago, but Nielsen, he's certainly gaining on Strawn all the time. He's gaining time hand over fist, 5/10 in the last sector alone, and the gap is 2.8 between them though. But Waring has not given up. That gap between Waring and Nielsen is only a second and a bit, and Brugman now right well and truly up with Waring as we're running through turn 7 and turn 8. The rain continues to fall as they're running through turn 8 now. Waring a little twitchy on power. That's where he dropped it and where he lost the lead. Brugman will see that go, I'll store that one for next time around if I have to try and figure a move, but he's already going up the inside for turn 10. Can he get it done? He's got it stopped. Space has been left. Waring's going, no, thank you. You're not up the inside of me. Thank you very much. Look, Brugman, he's having a look, though, up the inside for 12. Waring's seen him, and there's space just about given. A little bit of a contact between front nose and rear light, really, on the back of these Formula Challenge cars, but Brugman's got himself up into the final podium position. Waring shuffling down to P4 for Centurion. Still good points to be had, though. So we'll have to see if Brugman now is able to reel in Nielsen, and if Nielsen continues to bridge the gap to Strawn.
11th, 12th and 13th, all fighting each other. It's the two epics of Schroten Hoekstra and Mike Bell in the middle of it. Oh, Schroten, big sideways moment, just about held it. Mike Bell gets position, and Hoekstra is going to try and get position over his teammate as well. Oh, well, they really are fighting as you go towards, who's that coming? Cabrera as well in 14th position, is going to try and get involved for Viking. How are they going to go through the final corner? Hoekstra should get a nice slipstream off Bell, who's getting a slipstream. Oh, sorry, Schroten should get a slipstream off Bell, who's getting a slipstream of Hoekstra. This is going to be interesting down turn 1. They're going to go 3. Oh, it's going to be a tight one. Yeah. Mike Bell's just still about got it over Hoekstra. He's going to get a nice line for turn 2. No, he's got the inside line, but it's going to come from the outside line for turn 4. He's going to get a nice sweeping exit out of it, though. Can't put the power down.
Scrapping all the way through there, and the trick of getting out of that corner is it's so important to get the power down nicely before we get to the uphill, because that's going to kill you going through 4, and it leaves you vulnerable down into 5. And a real little gaggle of cars there. While that was going on, Waring, although he's dropped down to 4th, has really been putting actually a heck of a lot of pressure on Brugman. Pretty clear that Waring is running a minuscule amount of wing on his car and just absolutely reels Brugman in on the straights, but he's pretty much keeping with him through the twisty stuff as well. It's going to be interesting this next time around as we run through 13 and 14 with Waring. Running through 14 now, Brugman up ahead, a few back markers ahead as well. We'll have to see if he's able to do anything to this gap as we now run onto the back or onto the start-finish straight. The gap, 7/10 of a second. He's certainly not reeling him in at this point, but I've got a feeling that the differential's there, and there we go. He's starting to reel him in visibly, and he's on the brakes critically turn 1 as well. So keep an eye on that. He's certainly not giving that one up. Interestingly, the gap between Nielsen and Strawn, the Ice Cold teammates, equalise now at about 3 seconds. So everyone very much as you were through our top 3.
Yeah, I'm just running down. There's no kind of big fights particularly going on at the moment. A second between Waring and Beresford, as you said. Then there's a 4-second gap to Chepenek.
Interesting scrap for P12 and 13, and possibly 14 as well. Got Schroten up the inside of Bell through 1. Bell continues to hold the line and the place as they're running down into 3. And here comes Carver. Whoa! Late on the brakes and then some, but he's outbraked himself a bit. Schroten go, thank you very much. I'll just sneak up the inside here. Carver's got himself a little bit of traction though. He might be able to hold on to that one, running through 4 and down towards 5. Bell though, I think he's definitely gained a bit of an advantage there, not having to defend. Here comes Carver, very late on the brakes again. Clearly got that Viking car braking nicely indeed. Schroten, I think, has been left a bit out in the cold there, and the traction differential between those two gives that place to Carver. So a little fight here for P12, 13 and 14.
incident involving Koenig and Thomas Jacobs through turn 4. Koenig had a shower of the line and Jacobs much quicker on the exit. Didn't really. Oh no, Koenig's turned in. Oh, he obviously. Ooh, that's either he's kind of lost it a bit under power, but he's turned towards Jacobs, and yeah, Jacobs was wrong place, wrong time there, but couldn't quite tell if that was Koenig or losing power or just trying to defend, but much difference in speed there.
Unfortunate that we're on lap 16 of
Koenig's out with
17.
suspension damage, so it's kind of ended him anyway.
That's unfortunate, and unfortunately a little bit of a mix-up between those two have, well, certainly cost Koenig his race anyway. Interestingly, the skies are starting to brighten ever so slightly. The rain continues to pour. Our leader still remains to be Strawn, but interestingly, the gap has come down by a whole second over the previous laps. Nielsen definitely not giving this one up, that's for sure. And in fact, our whole top 5 are all within visible viewing distance, and no massive breakaway group or anything as we saw in the first race. So we'll keep an eye. The gaps all pretty much as you were between Strawn, however, as Jones there, back market, having a little moment that might improvise or harm Brugman a bit on his exit, but Jones getting out the way just about. So we have to keep on the top 5. They're close. They're not on each other's gearboxes, but they're still close all the same.
Yeah, they're currently on the penultimate lap though. It's whether they can kind of do anything before the end of the race. I don't think, unless there's a mistake made by any of them. Like I said, a bit of traffic, but I think they should all just about do it okay. So, yeah, there's no real fights. I mean, Olsen's now right on the back of Niemann, 8th and 7th, so those two could be fighting on the last lap at the moment.
Yes, I think you're absolutely spot on there. I think it would take a mistake to cause any significant drama, but it's interesting to see that Nielsen continues to take time out of his teammates, so you never know. Strawn might have used up all of his tyre or something to that effect. We'll just keep an eye on the gap. It's actually pretty much stayed about the same between those two as we're now on our final lap of the race. Strawn, though, is definitely in the pound seat. Just has to navigate his way around this 4.6 kilometre track one more time to take home the second win of the evening. By the looks of it, we've got a scrap now between 7th and 8th. It's Niemann and Olsen. Olsen very close on the brakes, but nothing to be had through turn 1 that time around. And our scrap for P13 and or P12, 13 and 14 still continues. We've still got the same 3 protagonists, Bell, Schroeter and Carberra, but Carberra's shuffled to the back of this one, so Schroeter's been able to get ahead of him on this last lap.
Schroeter's going to have a look at Mike Bell as well for 12th. Just about done it.
Good stuff. Action right to the very end. Oh, Nielsen! He's made a mistake through 8. He's dropped it. He's thrown away that podium position. Lars Brugman takes 2nd. Scott Beresford takes 3rd. And Andrew Waring in hot pursuit for P5. We said it might take a mistake. Yes, indeed. He just ran a little wide onto that rumble strip. No traction on that. And he's run deep. And that's thrown away 2 positions on this, the very final lap of the race. Brugman will be rubbing his hands with glee. Here comes Strawn, however, running through 13. He's heading into turn 14 for the final time. No need for a back marker or a slipstream here. This one should be comfortable as he rounds turn 14, comes over the rise and wins race 2 of the GPVWC round 4 from the Circuit to Algarve, Portimao, getting all tongue-tied right at the end as Lars Brugman and Scott Beresford come home to complete our podium. Goodness me, all go right at the very end there, and it was a mistake, as you correctly predicted, which shuffled things up in our top 5.
Yeah, Cabrera and Schroeter still fighting each other. Cabrera, oh no, that's a back marker. Mike Bell's going to get a nice good exit here. Is he going to be able to make anything of it? Oh, Cabrera, Schroeter. Oh, that's very physical there. That's going to not help Cabrera around this last corner. Is Bell able to make it? No. It's such a short run to the finish line.
Is indeed, so it's all important to get that exit as they cross the start-finish line. We're just waiting on our final points finisher to come across the line, and he has done so. So what we'll do is run through our points finishers once more, and continuing their good form. Ice Cold Racing have come home in the top 5 yet again. Eric Strawn wins the race from Lars Brugman and Scott Beresford, completing our podium. Jesper Nielsen and Andrew Waring come home in P4 and P5. Ben Supenek, another good run for him, the Team Proline, he's come home in P6. Harry Niemann for Kyla has come home in P7. Whilst Olsen for Bastovic, very feisty, very racy, he's come home in P8, we'll be pleased with that one. Lewis Brigade for Kyla coming home in P9, and Sandeep Choda for Team Proline coming home in the top 10. So actually a double top 10 points finish for Team Proline there. We'll be thrilled with that. Whoopke Hoekstra and Mike Schroden, we just saw in that scrap there. They've come home in P11 and P12 for Epic. Team Ricardo, for all that, has come home in P13 with Mike Bell for Arrow and Patrick Wanamula for Cosmo, all rounding out the top 15. So,
spare a moment, however, Ben Warren there, who started on pole and sadly got hit off a few times there. Carly came home in 16th place and not getting any points.
Yes, unfortunately, some taps and various other shenanigans. Must admit, it was good, clean racing from what I saw, but there's always that last, half move which will never quite complete.
I think it's the first lap, the first couple of laps where we can't see everything. It's really hard to kind of see what's going on up and down the grid, so we can really focus on the guys at the start.
Yes, indeed. And with such a full grid, there's always going to be a lot of cars fighting for the same stretch of tarmac, and yeah, unfortunately, a few cars may have just run into a little issue there. So. We'll leave the drivers. They're all coming home now, and I'll tell you this much, I do not envy them whatsoever. That was a very, very tough, physical pair of races, and well done to everyone who's finished those two. I do not envy them whatsoever. In fact, in our second race here, let me just count up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 non-finishers through damage, suspension, or other dramas. So a tough old evening for the cars and the drivers.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amount of concentration to think about your lines and where the other drivers are. It's really difficult. I mean, yeah, fair play to those guys. I mean, like I said, the ice cold guys started way back down, like, what, 7th, 15th, 16th position. So, yeah, they did a really good race there to bring themselves back up and continue getting points for themselves and the constructors.
Yep, absolutely, and consistency is the key, even at this very early stage of the championship. It's all about taking the opportunity to plan ahead, not make those half moves, and yeah, it's a real good time to start making habits for the rest of the season. That's for sure. So, for goodness, yes, certainly a good start to the year for the Ice Cold Boys, and I can see we might have a few drivers to interview in a moment, which is excellent. We'll just give it another few moments. Phil, any particular drivers of that race for you there?
I think it has to be. Well, Brugman's got podiums in both races, but then those ice cold guys as well. I mean, Strong getting a podium in both, and Nilsson just missing out there at the end due to that mistake. I mean, very, very decent racing and get up so high in race 2, and that's really what makes the difference, especially with Salo getting no points this evening. Yeah, it's going to be. I think Brugman's now the next challenger.
I'd say so. So we do have a couple of drivers just waiting for them to join us in the commentary booth. As the rain continues to fall, we're now being joined by our race winners, our podium sitters as well, and the first of those is Mr. Lars Brugman. So Lars, congratulations for race 1. I was saying to our viewers earlier, this is a very, very tough set of conditions with the rain, with obviously the incredible close racing as well. Talk us through your evening. How was it from your point of view?
Well, I had a good battle with Eric at the beginning. And I thought he was going to get away, but and at some points he did. But in the end, I was able to stick with him, and in the end, managed to overtake him.
And it was a heck of a fight. Do you enjoy those wheel to wheel moments, or would you prefer to get a move done nice and early and just try and scamper off in the distance?
Well, I don't know. I enjoyed the fight with Eric because, I mean, we know each other quite well, so we're usually clean around each other. So then it's good. But it was a bit hectic at some point, so maybe I would have preferred to be far ahead and not have the stress of Eric behind me.
Well, it was a good fight to watch, and well, it was very entertaining all evening, to be honest. And well, now joining us, we have Eric Strawn. Eric, great pair of races. Congratulations on a solid pair of podiums for you. From a team and driver's perspective, you've got to be really enjoying how things are going, really setting yourself up very well for the championship ahead.
Yeah, it's going quite well. Jesper's not quite up. I mean, he's there. Race 2 he just made a little mistake, but apart from that, he's also there. So, I mean, yeah, I really can't complain at my own results or mine and Jesper's together.
So you were the class of the field yourself, Lars and Jesper, in that first race. You had something like 15, 16 seconds to the next car on the road. Did you just find that the car worked really well in the wet conditions, or were you just spurred on by each other racing so wonderfully that you didn't even realise that there was a gap being built? You're just having a great race.
I had no idea. I was just focusing on getting on Lars. I had no idea we had a 22-second gap or something in the end. So that was surprising. Yep.
Well, it was excellent racing, and well, it set yourself up, both yourself and drivers, and of course Ice Cold in the teams very healthily indeed. Our next round, of course, will be in 2 weeks. I must admit, actually, now I come to think of it, I forget where we're going next. But
Turkey, right?
Turkey, lovely, Turkey. Yes, Phil, one
Yes.
of your favourites.
Oh, Istanbul Park, I love it. Yeah, one of my favourite tracks on the calendar actually. So looking forward to commentating on that one.
Excellent, and yes, hopefully we'll see more great racing from yourself and Lars and everyone else in the field. I'm sure in 2 weeks' time. But before we get onto that, we have another person who came home in the podium positions this evening, Scott Beresford. Congratulations, Scott, on your podium in race 2. Talk us through your evening. How was it with the mixed? Well, I keep saying mixed, the rainy conditions, and how did you find the racing this evening?
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it actually. Apart from, I had a bit of an incident on the first turn of race 1 and dropped to last and drove through the field to about 7th, so I was pretty pleased with that. And then, sort of, race 2 luck fell my way really, and got a podium. So I'm pretty pleased with it.
Stunning stuff. And how are you finding the Formula Challenge season so far? Are you where you thought you would be, or are you further up, or are you further down? What's your ambition this year?
I'm personally where I think I should be. I know it's a lot stronger field this year, so it's a little bit frustrating that I can't expect to be winning, for example. But I just enjoyed the racing, to be honest.
Well, I personally think that's the right way to go about it. If you enjoy your racing, I'm sure the results will come as a result. And well, congratulations, Scott. Great podium. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And we'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time at Istanbul Park. Next round, Turkey, and its famous turn 8. Certainly one to behold. Phil, it's one of your favourites, I know. Plenty of good racing to be had there.
I think there's just so many opportunities to overtake. I mean, we look at the last sector, the last few corners there. You can kind of dive a little bit down in turn 1 and turn 3 and turn 4. So there's opportunities in Istanbul. The weather will probably stay dry, so it'll be interesting to see who can kind of get a nice setup there for that turn. I mean, that turn 8, you really need a decent setup for that one. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Excellent stuff. And well, you've heard plenty from myself and Phil during this broadcast, but of course, as always with our Formula Challenge broadcast, we have Mr. Cameron Booster on cameras. Thank you very much, sir. What did you make of this evening?
Once again, another brilliant evening of racing. I thoroughly enjoyed watching that. Whilst I was trying to figure out what on earth I should have been watching, because everybody was trying to get camera time as usual.
No, it was terrific action up and down the field, and that's what is truly fantastic about Formula Challenge. Doesn't matter where you are, there's always good racing to be had. And if you've liked what you've seen this evening and you want to have a go, feel free, head on over to gpvwc.com, sign up to the website and the forum, and get involved. We have open wheel racing like the Formula Challenge you've seen this evening. We have Super Cup and Super League, next steps on the open wheel career ladder as well. And not only that, we have independent series as well. We have the likes of the International Touring Cup, our touring car series, the WSS Porsche series, as well as the likes of World GT, our 1-hour endurance racing series, and as well the Atlantic IndyCar series, which will be kicking off in a few weeks' time as well. So plenty of action to get involved with. Whatever takes your fancy, feel free to join in the fun. So with that, Phil, anything you'd like to say before we sign off this evening?
I look forward to seeing who can bring the fight to ice cold. I think that's kind of where it's going at the moment. It's kind of not quite a Mercedes dominance going on, but it's looking like it. So who can really up their game ready for Istanbul?
Excellent. And yeah, I could not sum it up any better myself. So spills and thrills this evening at Portimao. We'll have to see who's able to carry on that trend in Istanbul. So we'll hopefully see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time out on the racetrack.